Dear Divine Feminine, I have rehearsed these words in the silent corridors of my mind night after sleepless night, wondering how a single confession might reverberate through the cathedral of memories we once built together. I no longer have the luxury of denial. The truth is that I am with someone else now. Her presence was not something I plotted or pursued. It unfolded the way wildflowers do in forgotten fields, quietly, insistently, until their color cannot be ignored. I know these sentences may feel like shards of glass, but the only gift I can offer you now is unvarnished honesty, because even in this unraveling, I still revere the sacredness of what we once shared. When you and I first stepped into each other's orbits, everything crackled with possibility. Remember how every dawn felt hand-stitched just for us, how the scent of rain on hot pavement could send us laughing into the future. Back then, we spoke in a language woven from inside jokes, midnight snacks, and 1,000 unguarded glances. But seasons shifted, calendars turned, responsibilities multiplied like vines around our once open windows. Day by day, almost imperceptibly, the hum of our connection dimmed until we no longer noticed the silence pressing in from the corners of the room. I kept telling myself that tomorrow we would light the old fires again, yet tomorrow always arrived wearing the same gray fatigue. The woman who walks beside me now does not carry your name, but she has awakened emotions I believe permanently packed away. It is not that she is better, nor that you ever became less. It is simply that she mirrors a facet of myself I lost sight of in our shared routine. With her, I feel reckless enough to dream aloud again. I catch myself smiling without reason, as though my own lungs finally remembered the choreography of effortless breathing. I know that admission must sting, because it implies those sensations no longer flare when I am with you, and I loathe hurting you more than you can imagine. Yet silence would be the crueler weapon, letting you wonder where my gaze has drifted while my body still stands in the threshold of our home. Please understand, I did not set out to replace you, rewrite us, or stamp an expiration date on our history. How could I, when so much of who I am was cultivated in the sunlight of your acceptance? You were the first person who heard the tremor in my voice and called it music. You celebrated my smallest triumphs as though they were your own. I still replay the sparkle in your eyes the afternoon we danced barefoot in the living room to a song we were sure would never end. Those recollections are stitched into me like constellations, guiding, luminous, eternal. Yet somewhere along the line, we grew fluent in polite distance. Our conversations narrowed to logistics, grocery lists, electricity bills, weekend schedules. We inhabited the same rooms without truly colliding, two satellites orbiting an invisible sun. Sometimes you reached for my hand across the duvet, and though I held it like a man distracted by headlines scrolling across an internal screen. Sometimes I saw hurt flicker through your expression like a power surge, but I looked away, afraid that acknowledging the flicker would ignite a confrontation I felt unequipped to face. So the gap widened, plank by plank, until it became a bridge to some place unknown to both of us. The night I realized how profoundly I missed feeling alive, I was standing in a supermarket, all debating cereal brands. She appeared beside me, mauling a poetic tangent about childhood breakfasts and marshmallow constellations, and for reasons beyond analysis, I laughed, a deep, startled laugh that shook dust from corners of my ribcage. That single ridiculous moment reminded me that life could still ambush us with wonder. We talked for 15 minutes about nothing of consequence, and when we parted, the world felt heavier with color. I went home and lay awake, haunted not by desire for her specifically, but by craving the sensation she reawakened, unedited enthusiasm, the reckless belief that each morning still had gifts to offer. I tried to summon that spark at home. I booked us dinners, suggested spontaneous drives, even orchestrated a weekend getaway. But the harder I pushed toward delight, the more contrived it all felt, as though we were actors reviving a long-closed play with worn-out costumes. I began to dread my own attempts, embarrassed by their artificial shine. In contrast, conversations with her flowed like spring water, effortless and oxygen bright. Friendship tilted into flirting. Flirting stumbled into confession, and confession, despite every moral alarm ringing in my head, opened a doorway I eventually walked through. This letter is not a catalog of her virtues. She is not without flaws, and our connection is embryonic, still seeking its shape. But what it offers me right now is something I have starved for: presence. She listens as though every syllable matters. She looks at me as though I have not faded under her familiarity. In her reflection, I rediscover a version of myself I feared extinct: an adventurer, a lover, a man who believes the universe still holds secrets worth chasing. And however selfish it sounds, I needed to reclaim that pulse before it flattened forever. You might ask why I didn't fight harder for us, why I surrendered to erosion instead of fortifying the walls. The truth is I tried, but I did so quietly, as one tries to mend a bird's shattered wing with thread too thin for the task. Perhaps I failed to communicate the magnitude of my longing. Perhaps I underestimated your own fatigue. Perhaps we both became so skilled at sidestepping conflict that we forgot sometimes storms are necessary to clear the air. I own my part in this unraveling. The story of our distance is written in equal ink, and I refuse to hang the blame around your neck like a weight. If grief surges in you right now, please let it surge. Feel every spike of betrayal, every wave of disappointment, every echo of disbelief. Emotion denied only festers. Emotion expressed becomes the architect of healing. Scream into pillows. Journal until the pages warp with tears. Call the friend who always answers at midnight. Do whatever wrestles the heaviness into motion. Your feelings are valid, immense, and deserving of a sanctified place. I have forfeited any right to police how you express them. Yet, as you navigate this storm, I hope you will also remember the luminous strands of our tapestry. Recall the night we memorized constellations on the hood of my aging car, promising to chase wonders until the cosmos themselves grew bored. Remember Sunday mornings when we cooked omelets to jazz records while sunbeams danced across your cheeks. Those moments were real, unscripted, and precious. They deserve to remain untainted by the shadow of my choices. Even endings cannot retroactively poison what once tasted like miracle. I fear that by choosing this path, I have forfeited the privilege of your forgiveness. Yet I pray one day the scales of memory will tilt you toward compassion, if not for my sake, then for your own peace. Forgiveness is not a pardon. It is a key that unlocks shackles forged by hurt. Letting go does not mean endorsing my actions. It means refusing to let them colonize your future. You deserve horizons untouched by my shortcomings, gardens untrampled by my indecision. People will offer you advice cloaked in cliches. That time heals, that everything happens for a reason, that you were too good for me anyway. Some lines may comfort, others will clang empty. Accept what soothes and discard what stings. No one else inhabits your skin. No one else measures the exact shape of your ache. And should you ever doubt your worth, recall that even in leaving, I carry a mosaic of your brilliance inside me. You loved with a fierceness that rewired my destiny. You cultivated joy in drought-stricken places. You revealed the art of persevering with grace. Those qualities remain yours, indestructible, incandescent. As for me, I am stepping into terrain both exhilarating and terrifying. I cannot predict where this new connection will lead, or whether it can withstand the scrutiny of reality once the initial blaze cools. All I know is that in her company I have re-encountered desire, curiosity, and the mischievous thrill of possibility. If those sensations wilt, I will face that reckoning with whatever courage I can muster. But I refuse to remain numb merely because comfort masquerades as loyalty. The life half lived eventually poisons every room it inhabits. I would like to believe we met for a purpose beyond romance, to teach each other facets of unconditional regard, to mirror back unspoken wounds, to nudge one another toward evolutions we might never have attempted alone. Together we scaled summits of intimacy many couples only imagine. Apart, perhaps we will each discover landscapes uniquely our own, and in doing so, honor the expedition we once shared. If soul contracts exist, maybe ours stipulated both convergence and divergence, insisting that growth sometimes requires separate laboratories. Should our paths cross in a future chapter, I hope we recognize each other not as ghosts from a painful past, but as pilgrims who once journeyed side by side. I hope we smile, genuinely, marveling at how resilient hearts can be when watered by honest self-discovery. Maybe we will trade stories over coffee, celebrating new loves, new vocations, new definitions of home. Or maybe we will merely nod in passing, carrying a quiet gratitude that once, in a universe of chance collisions, we chose one another first. Either outcome can be holy if approached with tenderness. There is more I could write, pages upon pages of apology, nostalgia, and explanation, but words eventually collapse under their own weight. So I will end with the most transparent sentence in my arsenal. I cherish the you that you are, even as I walk away. Your laugh, your insight, your unwavering belief in improbable dreams. These are treasures that will glitter in my memory long after calendars swallow today. If sunsets ever seem less radiant because I am not there to remark on their crimson edges, remember, the sunset's glory exists independent of any witness, and so does yours. May your nights be stitched with peace. May your mornings bloom with purpose. And may every step forward feel like a reclamation of the magnificent life that still awaits you. Thank you for every second, every heartbeat, every lesson. I release you now with reverence, trusting that separate journeys can still honor a shared genesis. With difficult honesty and enduring respect, your one-time partner, learning again to feel alive,